Throughout history, military commanders have devised countless tactics to gain an edge on the battlefield. From ancient formations to modern strategies, these techniques reflect the ever-evolving nature of warfare. Today, we'll explore a range of these tactics, examining their origins, applications, and impact. The sniper trap, a deceptive tactic where a sniper intentionally wounds an enemy soldier rather than killing them outright. The goal is to lure out other enemy units to provide aid, creating additional targets for the sniper. This tactic relies on exploiting the natural instinct to help comrades in distress. Salvo fire, a naval combat technique involving the simultaneous firing of all cannons on a warship. This creates a concentrated burst of firepower designed to overwhelm the enemy and disrupt their formations. Salvo fire was particularly effective in the Age of Sail, where accuracy was limited and volume of fire was crucial. Hold-down position, a defensive maneuver for armored vehicles, where a tank positions itself behind a hill or other terrain feature, exposing only its turret. This minimizes the tank's vulnerability to enemy fire, while still allowing it to engage targets. The hold-down position is a staple of modern armored warfare. Creeping barrage, an artillery tactic used to provide a moving screen of fire ahead of advancing infantry. The artillery fire gradually advances, suppressing enemy defenses and allowing the infantry to move forward with reduced risk. The creeping barrage requires precise coordination between artillery and infantry to avoid friendly fire. Blitzkrieg, a German term meaning lightning war, referring to a rapid, overwhelming attack using combined arms, tanks, infantry, and air power. The Blitzkrieg aimed to break through enemy lines quickly and encircle their forces, creating chaos and disrupting their ability to respond. Foxholes, a defensive position consisting of a small excavated pit used to provide cover for one or two soldiers. Foxholes are often camouflaged to blend in with the surrounding terrain, making them difficult to detect. They offer protection from small arms fire and artillery fragments. Reconnaissance by fire, a tactic used to probe enemy positions by firing on likely locations and observing the response. If the enemy returns fire, their position is confirmed. If they remain silent, it suggests the area is unoccupied or lightly defended. Single envelopment, a maneuver where one force attacks the enemy frontally, while another force flanks the enemy position, attacking from the side or rear. This creates a pincer movement, trapping the enemy between two forces. Pincer movement, a classic military tactic where opposing forces surround the enemy on two sides, creating a pincer that cuts off their retreat and allows for their encirclement and destruction. Oblique order, a battlefield tactic where one part of an army focuses its strength on one flank of the enemy while the other part holds back. The goal is to achieve a local superiority of force and break through the enemy line. Feigned retreat, a deceptive tactic where a force pretends to retreat in order to lure the enemy into a trap. The retreating force then turns and counterattacks, catching the enemy off guard. Inverted wedge, a formation where the center of a force retreats while the flanks advance, creating a concave shape. This can be used to lure the enemy into an ambush or to encircle them. Crossing the T, a naval tactic where one line of warships crosses in front of another, allowing the first line to bring all of its guns to bear on the enemy, while the second line can only fire with its forward guns. Bounding overwatch, a movement technique where one element provides cover fire while another element advances, alternating roles to maintain continuous fire support. Ambush, a surprise attack launched from a concealed position. Ambushes are often used to target enemy patrols, convoys, or other vulnerable units. Skirmishing, a tactic where troops are deployed in a loose open formation to harass the enemy, disrupt their movements, or weaken their morale. Trench raiding, small-scale nighttime attacks on enemy trenches used to gather intelligence, capture prisoners, or destroy enemy equipment. Swarming, a tactic where multiple small units attack a larger target simultaneously, overwhelming its defenses through sheer numbers. Flying wedge, a triangular formation used to break through enemy lines. The wedge concentrates force at a single point, creating a breach that can be exploited by following troops. Defeat in detail, a strategy where a force divides its strength to engage smaller enemy units separately rather than engaging the main enemy force in a single, decisive battle. Air interdiction, the use of air power to disrupt enemy supply lines, communications, or troop movements. Tactical air interdiction focuses on immediate effects, while strategic air interdiction targets long-term objectives. Siege, the encirclement of a city or fortress to cut off its supplies and force its surrender. Sieges have been used throughout history to conquer fortified locations. Mouse-holing, a tactic used in urban warfare where soldiers create openings in walls to move between buildings, avoiding the dangers of open streets. Air assault, the use of helicopters or other aircraft to insert troops behind enemy lines, allowing them to attack from the rear. Tank descent, a tactic where infantry ride on tanks during an assault, dismounting to fight on foot only in the final stages. Shoot and scoot, an artillery tactic where a gun fires a few rounds and then quickly moves to a new location to avoid counter-battery fire. Marching fire, a form of suppressive fire where infantry units advance while continuously firing their weapons, forcing the enemy to remain under cover. Center peel, a retreat maneuver where the center of a formation falls back, while the flanks provide covering fire. Defense in depth, a defensive strategy that seeks to delay rather than prevent an enemy advance, relying on multiple layers of defenses to wear down the attacker. Scorched earth, a military strategy that involves destroying anything that might be useful to the enemy, such as food supplies, infrastructure, or transportation networks. These are just a few of the many tactics that have been used throughout military history. Each tactic has its own strengths and weaknesses, and its effectiveness depends on the specific circumstances of the battlefield. By studying these tactics, we can gain a better understanding of the art of war and the challenges of military leadership.